This is our way to success. Welcome to this podcast in which I will continue summarizing and commenting the great book A Mind for Numbers by Barbara Oakley. Today, Chapter 2. But before, thanks to Asimakis Gr. who says, I'm fascinated already. It's never too late to learn how to become better in science and maths. Excellent presentations. Thank you very much. I'm so excited. This book looks really good. If you didn't hear chapter 1, go check it. You'll find out an awesome story of superation. On this chapter 2, I will start summarizing her awesome tips. Chapter 2 is named Easy Does It. Why trying too hard can sometimes be part of the problem. Do you like chess? If the answer is yes, you probably know the names of Garry Kasparov and Magnus Carlsen. They are legendary chess grandmasters. Barbara Oakley starts this chapter with a cliffhanger. She starts making us picture a chess game where little time is given to move. Garry Kasparov against 13-year-old Magnus Carlsen. Suddenly, Carlsen gets up and walks away. Why? Well, Carlsen is not only psyching out the grandmaster, playing mind games. Now, it's when the cliffhanger appears, but she not only uses this literature resource for getting us want to read more. In page 26, there's an square resulted called Now You Try. She talks about taking a picture walk. But what is this? She gives us her first tip. As you first begin a chapter of a textbook or related book that teaches maths or science, you should take a sneak peek to the chapter. Glancing at the graphics, diagrams, photos, headings, summaries, or questions at the end of the chapter will organize your thoughts. I did this. I found a couple things that surprised me. A zombie that plays pinball, a summary, a pause and recall section, a enhance your learning section with questions and a real history. Words that attracted my attention: focus mode, diffuse mode, and the Einstellung effect. But I still didn't know what they meant. Neuroscientists have been making profound advances in understanding the two different types of networks that the brain switches between. In the book, A Mind for Numbers, they are called focus mode and diffuse mode. You can be in both at the same time. Focus mode thinking is essential for studying math and science. It approaches to solving problems using rational, sequential, and analytical approaches. Turn your attention to something like reading a novel, and you will be activating your focus mode on. Diffuse mode happens when you let your mind wander. This may seem a disadvantage when solving a tough problem like a math problem, but no, diffuse mode thinking is also essential for learning maths and science. To explain us how focus and diffuse mental processes works, Barbara Oakley used the pinball metaphor. Time for the happy zombie playing neural pinball. The round bumpers of the focus mode pinball machine are very close together, while in the diffuse mode pinball machine, the round bumpers are farther apart, and because of this, the ball doesn't stay in one narrowed zone, it spreads. This leads us to the Einstellung effect, which is a frequent block for students. This means you became so obsessed with a way to find a solution or a premade idea that you become stuck, and worse, you make a mistake. I can relate this Einstellung effect to Newton and Einstein. Newton settled down modern physics, the physics we are taught at school, but it doesn't apply when the calculations need to be as refined as possible. Calculations of the solar system didn't fix correctly to reality, so scientists once believed of the existence of an unknown planet named Vulcano. They were always thinking on the narrow focus mode. Then Einstein came to debunk this, probably without realizing he was using his creative diffuse mode. Difference procrastination from actual diffuse mode. I'll use one of the metaphors of the book. For making a brick, you first need to have clay. To figure out new ideas and solve problems, it's important not only to focus initially, but also turn our focus away from what we want to learn. So now you know why the pomodoro technique is so effective. If you don't know what is, don't worry, it's on my YouTube to-do list, so go subscribe to be updated. The name it's On Our Way to Success, being 2 a number. After doing a summary of what we learned of the book, Oakley offers us another exercise. Pause and record. Close the book and look away. What were the main ideas of this chapter? This, although it doesn't say it, it's called active recall, and it's a very good technique for memorization. I like rereading chapters several times without recalling. It's surprising to see how many students read tons of times the same unit of a textbook for flunking their exam. This is because they are confusing recalling with recognizing. Now I will answer the questions at the section Enhance Your Learning. 1. How would you recognize when you are in diffuse mode? How does it feel to be in diffuse mode? Well, I daydream a lot. I guess that's why I'm very creative. For me, it's like being asleep. I just don't notice I'm on diffuse mode till I awake, but I have a very similar feeling when I really focus on a math problem. Second, when you are constantly thinking of a problem, which mode is activated and which is blocked? What can you do to escape this blocking? Of course, the active mode is focus mode and the block mode is diffuse mode. I just use the pomodoro technique. I don't get engaged in something that requires my attention, like video games. I take a short stroll on the corridor of my house. I look like a hamster in his will. It's a strange behavior, but it works. Third, recall an episode where you experienced the Einstein effect. How were you able to change your thinking, to get past the preconceived but erroneous notion? I struggle with the Einstein effect while playing chess. I usually get so focused on checkmating the other player that I forget their objective is to checkmate me as well. I was playing with my uncle and he gave me this advice, not with the exact same words. I don't think he knows about the Einstein effect, but yes, he's a good player. Fourth, explain how the focus and diffuse modes might be equal to an adjustable beam on a flashlight when you can see farther. Answer with the focus mode beam. When can you see more broadly but less far? Answer with the diffuse mode beam. I think this was pretty easy, but not that an open answer. Fifth, why is procrastination sometimes a special challenge for those who are studying math and science? Let me use my own metaphor. Math and science, it's a really cluttered, messy apartment. There's such amount of things to do and it will take so much time. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. And that's the main cause of procrastination. You can avoid this by making a list of things to do with a small subtask. From the real story from Nadia Nowi Mehidi, a senior studying economics, we can learn 3 teachings. First, some people understand better when they read than when they listen to someone speak. Furthermore, with a book you can take a sneak peek before reading in detail. Second, if after reading the book you don't fully understand, it's a good idea to surf the internet for information. Why? Because sometimes hearing a slightly different way of phrasing something can make you look at the problem from a different angle and make you understand. Third, take a break. For Nadia, a good way to think clearly is when she's driving. For me, the answer would be walking away like Magnus Carlsen did. For example, to identify when Einstein effect happened to me, I did this because I couldn't come up with an answer. What are your thoughts on this chapter? Can you identify when you suffer or have suffered from the Einstein effect? You can comment on YouTube or send me a voice message through Anchor, and it will appear on the next podcast. See you soon, in 2 days actually.